Welcome to Conversations Live, where we bring you the best in music, books, entertainment, and more. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 16 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience and those tuning in online. We're glad you all could be with us. Well, it's hard to believe, but it was 8 years ago they had an opportunity to speak with author Anthony Ellis on this program. At that time, he was discussing his book. He got that package. We talked to him about his life journey, what it was like for him to share his own journey with HIV in that book, but also to share his message with the world. Now, here we are 8 years later, and we're excited to welcome Brenda Ellis, the mother of Anthony Ellis, to our program to talk to us not only about what it was like for her to see her son be able to share his story, but what she hopes that story is able to do for all of us. Unfortunately, we lost Anthony in 2019. We'll talk to Ms. Ellis about what she wants you all to know about her son, but also about the work he's been able to leave behind. Ms. Ellis, welcome back to the program. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much.
Well, you know, a lot for us to talk about here. As I said, it's hard to believe. Time passes by so fast, but it was hard to believe it was 8 years ago that I actually welcomed Anthony Ellis to this program, and he shared his story from the book. He got that package. What was it like for you to be able to see him, not only to be able to live the life he was able to live, but also to share his story in a book like that?
Okay, well, for me, it was, very exciting, and I was proud that he was able to share this, because so many people, going through the same thing. I'm talking not only, children, but parents are going through a lot of stuff too. Right. But for Anthony to share his story was enlightening for me, and also helped me to be able to talk about some things. He was not ashamed to share his story with others, and at one point in his life, he was doing some counseling, to help young people so that they wouldn't go down that road, that he traveled down for a while. Yeah. So it was, I was very proud of him for him to be able to share the story with others.
Right. And it was great to be able to read that book. I think the thing that we're able to get from his story, and we're going to remind our audience, Ms. Ellis, how they can be able to read it for themselves, is that not only, of course, does he talk about the challenges, but also the things he was able to overcome. Is that one of the big messages you hope people take away from your son's life, that he didn't just focus on the negative, he looked for those positive opportunities? Yes.
Like I said, hopefully it will be, for me, it was very positive, and I know that anyone who reads his story, should come out feeling great and have a positive attitude, about their own lives. And I know that we go through different things, and everybody does not experience the same, things in life. But if it's a negative part in your life, hopefully this book will bring some positive into things so that, we won't look at ourselves as being defeated, but we will look at ourselves knowing that we can be victorious even in struggles of life.
Now, I mentioned it was 8 years ago that Anthony was on our program, but you were with us in December 2018 talking about your son. In fact, you actually put me on the phone with him briefly when we were getting ready to have that conversation, Ms. Ellis. And I think that the thing is, as we were talking, he had released a new book at that point called Green Dot, and it also is available to our friends at Amazon. So he got that package. We were able to get the true story that Anthony wrote, but then you were able to see him and his creativity in the second book with Green Dot being a fiction book. Yeah. Talk to us about that. I mean, did you expect him to write a second book?
Yes, he had told me he was going to write another book. Anthony was always fascinated with mysteries and that kind of books. So he read a lot of mystery books, and he had told me that he was going to write another book. And fortunately, Anthony was very bright. It didn't take him 2 years to write the books that he wrote because he pretty much did research. So he knew exactly how he wanted it to go. So it didn't take him a long time to write those books, and he was proud of himself. And as we had talked about, the one thing that he wanted to do, he wanted me to be proud of him by giving me something, even though I was proud of him. And I know he went through a lot of changes, which a lot of children do, and moms don't throw their children away because, God never throws us away.
Right.
So he's always there, and like I said, I was always encouraging him and letting him know that you can overcome anything, and he did. And that was the one thing that I could appreciate, from him, because Anthony was always a determined person. And I instilled in him as a young child, you can do anything that you set your mind to. And these were just a couple of the things that, he set his mind to do. And I think he did very well with those.
Right. Well, I think you're right. I mean, it has been great to be able to read his words and to know that he has such a creativity inside of him. So I want to talk about this experience for you. I mean, you have experienced, unfortunately, Ms. Ellis, what we're hearing a lot of parents having to experience, and that is, the burying of a child.
Yes.
I was really shocked to have to say when I found out about Anthony's death in 2019. It was actually a post on Facebook I saw that you had shared. So I want to talk about life. I'd rather not talk as much about death, but feel free to talk about whatever you would like.
Sure.
When it comes to celebrating life, because that's how I try to look at it, I try to look at what the person was able to leave behind. You just shared something really important, I think, and that is what he wanted to do for you. What was that like for you to be able to see that Anthony was trying to leave something behind?
Yes. Well, again, I was very excited about that because, he, even though he had some shortcomings, in which I say a lot of children do, moms are still proud, but he was so determined in his life that even though he had some struggles, he did not let them bring him down to the fact that, he just didn't care about anything. And he loved life, and like I said, I was proud of him. And the life that he lived, wasn't always a straight road. But when he came back to himself and when he did the right thing, he was very proud. In fact, he learned a lot of things like truck driving. He went to truck driving school and, just a lot of other things in his life that he felt like he wanted to do. And as I said, I instilled in him, and he kind of comprehended on that, if that's the right word, that he can do anything that he put his mind. Anthony lived life.
Yeah.
Even in his struggles, he lived life. And if you had seen Anthony from day to day, you would not have known that he was HIV positive because he didn't focus on that. Like I say, he focused on the good. And from his life, the good that he focused on was telling other people about, his life, what happened, and so that they wouldn't go down the road. So he was a positive role model for a lot of young people and older ones too, because he shared a lot of things with older people, and he was very wise. Yeah. And it could have been from some of his experiences with life, but as I said, he was not. I never saw him feeling sorry for himself, or or just trying not to focus on positive things. Like I said, you knew him, and everybody around him knows he always had a smile on his face. And as I said, unless you just knew what was going on with him, you would not have known from just looking at him or even being around him, because he did not focus on the negative. He always saw the good in everything that, he did, or even the negativeness. He always made good out of that. And I think, like I said, the one thing that he really wanted to focus on was counseling other people, especially, like I say, young people, because peer pressure, how you've been there, I've been there, it can take you in any direction.
Right.
And he wanted them to not go down the road that he did. And if they happen to, you can always come back. It's always a turnaround point for everybody. So that was his life, to help others.
Yeah. And it's a great reminder for all of us. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, who's on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome back Ms. Brenda Ellis to our program today. We're talking with her about the life and legacy of her son, author Anthony Ellis, what it's been like for her to share his story with all of you, but also to share his work with all of you as well. His books are available through our friends at Amazon.com. We're going to remind you of that. I actually want to read some of what Anthony said to me in our interview together, Ms. Ellis, and then we can talk about it. I asked him the question, did you see HIV as a death sentence? He told me, yes, I did. Society told you that if you had HIV, that you were going to die. I conditioned myself to live that way. I told myself that since I was going to die, there wasn't really any reason to live. Alcohol and drugs became my way of dealing with it. I saw it as a way out for me. And then I asked him, but you're still here. What changed? He said, after a few years of getting myself over to alcohol and drugs, something in me just woke up. It was then that I realized that HIV and AIDS weren't going to kill me. I was doing it to myself. I knew then that I had a chance to live. I then asked him about writing the book and what he wanted to be able to do, and it ties in perfectly with what you were just saying. He said, I had been through so many emotional changes through the disease that I knew I could help someone. I was ashamed of the package, and that is where the name of the book came from. My goal, though, was and still is to help others get rid of the ignorance surrounding HIV. So I wanted to share that because I want to talk about this. Is that still your hope now in 2020? HIV is still here. Do you hope that people continue to be educated about HIV and AIDS?
Yes. A lot of the fears that we had years ago, those are no longer fears. Because we have to be educated about just about everything because there are a lot of diseases out there, you know, and if we're not educated to those, then that's where the effect comes in, when you don't know or when you are afraid to research and to learn different types of things. You know, I'm in the medical field, so of course I know some things, and we see people, you know, afraid of things. You can't be afraid of HIV because just like with other problems, you never know if the person sitting next to you has it unless they say something. So, you know, there are certain precautions that we all have to take, and especially during this period in our time. But it's nothing to be afraid of. And years ago, I can remember when, you know, we first found out about HIV/AIDS. I worked at some facilities, and believe it or not, they were burned. Once the patient left, they would burn the linens and stuff because they didn't know, you know. And I think we're more afraid of what we don't know than what we do know. So with education and learning, you know, researching things, we're finding out that it's nothing to be afraid of, you know, because anybody can get it. It does not have to come you can get anything that's out there, actually, but precautious, and not just, you know, be irresponsible, you know, if you understand where I'm coming from in life, you know. But it's really nothing to be afraid of, and I know a lot of people may be afraid of it, but, you know, I was never afraid of it, and not so much but because my son had it. But I wanted to encourage my son to let him know that, you know, it's okay. You know, things happen in life, but I'm not going to withdraw from you because of that, and I never brought it up if he didn't talk about it, you know. I didn't never, you know, criticize him because things happen. It can happen to me, you know, if you're afraid of things. So we have to be educated, and Anthony did his research on it, and actually he was in his early 20s when he found out, when he first told me, you know, and I think he was afraid to let me know. But when he told me, I'm like, okay, you know, that's something that we have to deal with, you know. And actually, Anthony was 49 years old when he passed, but that's not why he passed.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't the HIV. So like I say, we have to educate our public. We have to educate parents. We have to educate children, and to the fact that, like I said, you're more afraid of what you don't know than you know, what you do know. So, and that's what Anthony was really trying to do in this book. And, he did some speakings, and he was just trying to educate people about life, because actually death is a part of life, or life is a part of death. So you really can't get away from either of them.
I think that's so true, and I think too, looking at things as well, Ms. Ellis, and you bring up a really good point, and I think we look at the world we live in today, right? And
right.
Let's just take 2020, quite frankly, with the coronavirus. Yes. The amount of people who are dying with it. I mean, we don't want people to have a stigma because they've been infected with the coronavirus. I mean, and I think that is the thing. I mean, I think it is a danger for people to try to make something, bigger than another thing. Or to treat people differently because of certain things. Yes, we take precautions as we are doing now in 2020 with COVID-19. We take precautions with other things, too. I think that is the thing, but they are still people, just like what we're seeing this year with the coronavirus. I mean, over 1 million people, those are still people. And I think that's it. So is your message also then, so let's widen this out a little bit, is your message too for us to be able to get to know who people are? Because, it's so easy for us to try to judge someone based on what we think we know about them. Do you also hope we would get to actually get to know people for who they are?
Exactly, and that's what we need to do. And don't judge a book, a person because of what you see, because there's always an inner insight to everybody. And a lot of times people withdraw because of the stigma that others put on them. Like I said, we all go through some things, and I don't want you to be afraid of me or to talk to me because you feel like I'm going to judge you for whatever. Because I always tell my people that I work with or whatever, at the end of the day, I can only judge myself. Because if I judge you, there's somebody else going to judge me. So everybody's human. Everybody's going through something in their own way, and we can't be afraid. Like I said, you got to be careful. You got to be cautious, but let's not be afraid of things, because HIV's been around for a long time. Diabetes has been around for a long time. Cancer has been around for a long time, So those are just some of the things that we have to live with or deal with, and I don't want anyone to be afraid to talk to me because you think I might judge you or someone might judge me. I don't want to be afraid to go to my family or friends because I think they're going to judge me. Because we all need help, and like they say, we're all in this together, not just coronavirus, but whatever the issue is, we have to be a help to each other. And that was the one thing that Anthony really tried to do with his nephews. He didn't have any children, of course, but, he talked to, I have 4 grandsons, 6 grandchildren, and he would talk to them, and try to, encourage them and tell them about how to live, things that he went through so that they wouldn't go down that road in life. And I used to tell my children, at some point kids got to start listening to parents and adults, because I wouldn't tell my child to go jump off of a bridge,
Right.
I would try to help you not to jump off that bridge. So that's what he was doing, and not only with our family, but everybody that he met. He would go to certain little centers and just try to talk to the teenagers.
It's a great reminder for us, for sure. I do have a question to ask you because, and I didn't ask you this when you were on with us in 2018, but I definitely want to ask you now because I think it's important for our audience out there who are wanting to get Anthony's book. Anthony Ellis is the title that he wrote the book. He got that package under. Anthony Marcellos is what he wrote the second book, Green Dots, on. Was that a middle name or a pen name?
Yes. That was his middle name, Anthony Marcello.
Okay,
it's his middle name.
Okay, so
he did write that one.
Okay,
yes.
So I just wanted to remind our audience of that, so when they're going and looking for it, it won't be under Anthony Ellis. That won't be under Anthony Marcello. So make sure you guys keep that in mind. For those who are joining us online, though, we will put the link for you guys to make it easy to be able to find it there. So, Ms. Ellis, I'm so glad that we had a chance to chat again. I do want to talk about moving forward, what you hope to do. I mean, we talked about Anthony and what he was doing. What do you see now as your mission as you move forward in keeping Anthony's work and his memory alive?
Okay, I would also, like to encourage children, parents, because we have to teach others. It's our responsibility to teach, no matter what it is. So I want to keep Anthony's legacy, or what the things that he was trying to do by, talking to others, talking to parents, and, because I know sometimes it could be hard, and no one wants to know that their child is out there doing drugs or killing or doing anything. But the thing that we have to do, we got to always talk to our children. We have to always talk to each other. And, I've seen parents that were just so hard on children that when they fall down, but we got to learn how to pick them up, because someone picks us up every time we fall. So, and if we're not setting an example, because like I said, in life, it could happen to anybody. So because it didn't happen to me, my mom used to always say, you know where you've been, but you never know where you're going. So if I can help someone along the way and encourage them like Anthony, was trying to do, then I'm more than happy to do that, because I know we all need help. And as old as I am, I still learn something new every day. And, and that's life. Life is something different, something new to learn every day. So we have to be receptacle. I'm not using the right word, but to what's going on in life, because HIV, AIDS, murder, all this is reality,
right.
And those are just things in life that we have to face. But my thing to parents is, talk to your children. When Anthony did wrong, I told him, you're wrong. I never upheld him in wrong, but I always tried to let him know you don't have to do certain things in life. You just don't have to, So he knew that. He grasped that, which is one reason why I can say Anthony was I don't know, he was very humble. Mm-hmm. He was a very humble child. Right. And believe it or not, he listened to me when I talked to him, and I appreciated that, because, he could have gotten angry, he could have walked out or did a lot of things, but when I talked to Anthony, he would listen. And so that was the one thing that he did, and he had a lot of respect for me. It wasn't like he was, what I mean, how just angry and didn't want to listen, or just, Right. But he did listen, and I was very proud of that, because, like I said, could have gone any way, but I have to tell him the truth. We were raised telling the truth, no matter how it hurts. But Anthony knew that I loved him, regardless of what he did or what he did not do. He knew that I loved him. And whenever he needed something in the right way, I never hesitated to help him, get from one point to another if I could.
Right.
So I think that was the one thing, because he knew that I was always there for him, which is why he made up in his mind. And like I said, he wrote the 2 books for me, right. so that he could pay me back, for some of the things that I had done. Right. And that made me feel real good, too,
Right.
That he had that. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and I think that's a great message for us all, to be able to judge people where they are and mm-hmm. to not allow people's past to keep us from seeing their potential. I think that's it.
Right.
That's a great thing for us. Again, everyone, Ms. Brenda Ellis has been our guest. We've been talking with her not only about her son, author Anthony Ellis, but what it's been like for her to see the way that he shared his work with the world, and now how his work is able to continue to live on. As I mentioned, his book Green Dots is available on Amazon. You guys can get it there. It's under Anthony Marcello. Is where you guys can find it there. Again, the book is called Green Dots, and the book, he got that package. It will be re-released. Definitely want to make sure you guys are staying connected with Miss Ellis. Miss Ellis, how can they be able to find you?
Well, I am on Facebook under Miss Faye 52 at yahoo.com. Facebook, yeah, Miss Faye.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Faye Ellis, FAYEELLIS. Faye Ellis on Facebook. And then, of course, I have an email. It's missfaye52 at yahoo.com. Or if they want to call and just talk, I have a phone number, 769-237-2181. And I can, I don't mind helping others because, like I said, we're all in this together, whatever it is. It may not be the coronavirus or, some parent or mom might be going through what I've gone through, with a child. And if I can help anybody, that's what, I'm more than willing to do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I tell you, I know that they appreciate that. Ms. Ellis, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to having you back on the program again.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cyrus.
Hey, you're more than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's make it a great one.